Mr. Trask, you ready? All righty. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the special magistrate hearing today. Normally, we would have the variance, special exception first, and then the code enforcement. The city attorney has told me that both of the code enforcement cases have been continued until the December agenda. So for anyone who is here today for case number 2023.3537, which is the property located at 544 Johns Pass Avenue. That case will not be heard today. It will be continued to the next meeting. Also, case number 2023.3526 for the property located at 590 Normandy Road. That code enforcement case will also be moved to next month. So if you're here for those will not be heard today, and you can either stay and listen to the rest of the hearings, or you're free to leave. So with that, welcome to the City of Madeira Beach Variance/Special Exception Use Special Magistrate Hearing. My name is Bart Valdez, and I'm the appointed Special Magistrate to hear today's cases. I'm a practicing attorney and have been a member of the Florida Bar for over 20 years. I've been appointed to this position in accordance and with the authority set forth under Florida law and the City of Madeira Beach Code of Ordinances. It is my role to fairly and objectively review the matters presented today in these variance and special exception requests. As such, I would like to advise you of certain matters related to today's proceedings. Today's matters will be heard in the order that they appear on the agenda. At this time, I have read and reviewed the applications with all attachments, any written submissions by anyone having an interest, any timely submitted written objections, and the materials provided by the city staff. In all cases, the hearing will be conducted in the following order. The city will present its case and staff report, and the applicant may ask questions of the city's representative. The applicant will present his or her case supported by any witnesses and evidence, and the city may cross-examine each witness. Public comment will be solicited or received from parties directly affected by the variance. Individuals testifying do not have the right to cross-examine the parties, and all public comment shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. Public participation will then be closed, and I will deliberate and then make a decision to grant or deny each variance requested in the application. Formal rules of evidence do not apply to this proceeding. However, I will exert every effort to ensure that fundamental fairness is afforded to all parties. After my decision today, I will issue an order. The order will be reduced to writing, and it will be provided to the applicant with a copy by mail, and so please make sure we have your current address. Additionally, you're advised that I do not have the authority to grant you a building permit. You must still obtain a building permit for any work you intend to do on your property. If you wish to present any information to me today, it is necessary that you swear or affirm that you will tell the truth. Therefore, in just a moment, the city attorney will administer the oath and swear in any witnesses. If there is anyone in the audience today that wants to talk to me during the hearing on any matter before me, then you must rise and be sworn. This includes any members of the public who are directly affected by the variance or special exception request and may wish to provide public comment. So with that, Mr. Trask, will you please swear in everyone?
Anyone that's going to speak, if you can stand up, raise your right hand, and be sworn under oath. If you're going to speak, are you going to speak, ma'am? You swear that the testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, thank you.
Okay, the first matter on the agenda is VAR 2023-07 for the property located at 816 Bay Point. Is the city ready to proceed?
Yes, we are.
Go ahead, Mr. Trask.
So the city is going to call Marcy Forbes. Marcy, if you could introduce yourself and advise the special magistrate what your job responsibilities are here at the city.
Yes, I'm the community development engineer, and I was brought on in May of 2023, and I've been a licensed engineer since 2004.
Okay. Are you familiar with this particular application for 816 Bay Point Drive?
Yes,
Okay. Did you prepare a staff report and recommendation?
I did.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and present that, please?
Yes, please.
Okay.
This is staff report and recommendation. Application VAR 2023-07 for Timothy Sumagala. Property address is 816 Bay Point Drive, Madeira Beach 33708, parcel ID 10-31-15-04500-001-350. Legal description, Bay Point Estates, second ad, block 1, lot 35. Zoning and future land use are R1, single-family residential, residential urban. Request. The applicant is requesting to reduce the front yard setback requirement from 20 feet to 15 feet 10 inches, the rear yard setback from 30 feet to 28 feet 6 inches, and side yard reduction from 8 feet to 7.8 feet. The specific code provisions are Section 110-181, Number 1, front yard, 20 feet measured from the right-of-way line to the structure. Number 2, rear yard, waterfront lots are 30 feet. And number 3, side yard, total side setback of 15 feet with a minimum of 7 feet on either side. Background. A permit was issued on June 14th, 2021, permit number 2021-0568, with the scope of work described as move home on-site for foundation repair and add master bedroom bath. In addition to elevating the existing structure, a rear balcony was added. Below is a brief summary of events. Please note all dimensions referenced are taken from the drawing and/or survey in which they came from and therefore sometimes vary from inches to tenths. Rear yard setback. During the site plan review process, city staff did not comment on nor notice that the rear columns for the second floor balcony encroached into the allowable rear yard setback, and as such, they were permitted in conflict with the city land development regulations. The columns, as designed and permitted, were 26 feet 4 inches from the water's edge of the seawall to the exterior edge of the column, and per LDR, the distance should have been 30 feet. The issue was identified during a scheduled site inspection by the building official on August 22, 2022. When the distance was measured at 28 feet 6 inches, a stop work order was issued and planning and zoning staff was notified. After review, city staff agreed to allow the encroachment and made an internal note regarding the issue with no further action required. According to staff, this decision was based on Section 110-427A, Number 2, yard regulations. Open sky. Every part of a required yard, see appropriate section of Schedule of Use, Lot, Yard, and Bulk Regulations, must be open to the sky unobstructed, except as otherwise permitted in the code. The following may encroach into the minimum yard requirements of each lot, provided the required permits have been obtained. Rear yard and second floor and above balconies not exceeding 4 feet. The variance request is to memorialize this decision. Front yard setback. The site plan submitted for review and permitting depicted the 20-foot setback with a reference line, but the line was shown in error as it was measured from the back of curb and not the property line. In addition to the reference line, though, the distance from the property line to the front of the primary structure was dimensioned at 18 feet 1 inch. This is in conflict with the city LDRs previously noted, requiring a front yard setback of 20 feet. This was not caught during plan review and as such went into construction with these setbacks. On February 15, 2023, the building inspector failed an inspection at the residence, in part due to construction of an unpermitted driveway. After a significant amount of correspondence with the designer and contractor over the driveway, a driveway drawing submitted for review revealed the front staircase and primary structure were not compliant with the required front yard setback and deviated from the dimensions in the permitted plans. A subsequent tie-in survey verified the encroachment as well. Side yard setback. As permitted, the side yard setbacks are not compliant. The original structure was within the required setback, but as permitted, the side, which would have required a minimum of 8-foot setback, was shown and permitted with a range from 7 feet 8.5 inches and 7 feet 5.5 inches. And as constructed, this side is 7.8 feet from the property line. Below is a table summarizing setback information. Setbacks. Front yard required is 20 feet, as permitted was 18 feet 1 inch, and as constructed was 15 feet. It says 11 inches, but I'd like to make a correction. That's a typo. It should have been 15 feet 10 inches. So I just want to note that. Rear yard required is 30 feet, as permitted 25 feet 8 inches, as constructed 28 feet 6 inches. Side yard, 7-foot minimum, total of 15, as permitted 7 feet and 7 feet 5.5 inches on the west side and 7 feet 8.5 inches on the east side. As constructed, 7 feet on the west side and 7.8 feet on the east side. And then a notation that the front yard is as measured from the property line to the stairs, and the rear yard is as measured from the water space of seawall to the exterior edge of balcony column. Number 2, variance criteria, Section 2-507B, and analysis. The first criteria, special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, building, or other structures for which the variance is sought, and which do not apply generally to the lands, building, or other structures in the same district. Special conditions to be considered shall include, but are not limited to, the following circumstances. A, substandard or irregular shaped lot. If the site involves the utilization of an existing lot that has unique physical circumstances or conditions, including irregularity of shape, narrowness, shallowness, or the size of the lot is less than the minimum required in the district regulations. B, significant vegetation or natural features. If the site contains significant native vegetation or other natural features. C, residential neighborhood character. If the proposed project promotes the established historic or traditional development pattern of a block face, including setbacks, building height, and other dimensional requirements. D, public facilities. If the proposed project involves the development of public parks, public facilities, schools, or other public utilities. E, architectural and/or engineering considerations. If the proposed project utilizes architectural and/or engineering features that would render the project more disaster resistant. Our findings are E, architectural and/or engineering considerations. The elevated home will be more resilient from floodwaters in the area below the first living floor, as well as additions utilize materials meeting current building code standards. Number 2, the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. A self-created hardship shall not justify a variance. Findings. The homeowner contracted with licensed design professionals and contractors to help ensure proper design and construction of the residence. The plans were submitted and reviewed through the proper municipal channels. Due to the previously described errors and oversights, it would not have been the responsibility of the homeowner to catch and/or recognize the issues which have occurred. No design or construction decisions appear to have been conducted in an attempt to intentionally ignore requirements. 3, granting the variance will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied to other lands, buildings, or structures in the same zoning district. Findings. Proof of the variance will not grant any special privilege to the property and is the minimum necessary to keep the residence as constructed. Number 4, little interpretation would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same zoning district under the terms of the Land Development Regulations, Subpart B of this code, and would work unnecessary and undue hardship on the applicant. Finding. Little interpretation of the code would create considerable hardship to the applicant, and the corrective measures would, I got cut off. Sorry about that. So basically here it was just the interpretation would be extremely difficult to rectify the structure as constructed to meet the current code requirements. It would be nearly impossible. Number 5, the variance granted is the minimum variance that will make possible the reasonable use of the land. Findings. Granting the variance would allow the rear balcony columns and front structure with stairs to remain as built and are the least amount necessary. 6, the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the city land development regulations, and that such variance will not be injurious to the area involved or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. Findings. The proposed variance is in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the city land development regulations and will not negatively affect the character or the neighborhood. The harmony of the neighborhood and general scheme of development of the neighborhood will be unchanged. 3. Staff recommendations and conditions and condition. Staff recognizes the series of events that has led to the need for a variance, and as much as all parties involved would like to reach a resolution. It is important to note that city staff has spent a significant amount of time on this project trying to work with the design team and contractor and homeowner for resolutions to all the hurdles that have been encountered. Staff fully understand the homeowner engaged professionals from the beginning to properly design and construct the project, but a series of oversights, misunderstandings, and errors on behalf of the applicant and the city has led to the point of requiring a variance for a certificate of occupancy to be issued. In the best interest of the resident, city staff recommends approval of these variances, but cannot stress emphatically enough that in no way is this intended to be construed as approval of the after-the-fact approach to out-of-tolerance construction. One condition for the issuance of the variance and subsequent certificate of occupancy is for the applicant to bring the constructed driveway into compliance with the city LDRs. There has been significant conversation with the contractor and homeowner as to the means by which this can be accomplished, and they are prepared to correct this issue once the variance is processed. Attached to this that I would like to submit into evidence are the application completed by the applicant, which is pages 7 through 14, the permitted site plan, which is page 15, survey of the property prior to and after elevation of the structure, pages 16 through 17, email correspondence from staff for rear yard setback encroachment, pages 18 to 19, the public notice mailing and posting, which are pages 25 to 32, and on pages 19 through 24, you'll find letters of support from the neighbors for this variance. In addition, I have another letter that the homeowner hand-delivered on last week that I'd like to submit into evidence, as well as a picture of the driveway under construction to be adjusted to be within city code. So he is working on that. Sorry, I know that's a lot.
All right, well, let's break it down. I'll go ahead and accept into evidence as exhibit number 1, pages 3 through 32 of the agenda packet. And Ms. Forbes, I'm going to walk over there if you can hand me the other two. All right, exhibit number 2 to today's hearing will be this letter from what purports to be a neighbor supporting the application and asking that I grant the variance, and then I'll attach as exhibit number 3, a photograph that Ms. Forbes described in her testimony. Mr. Trask, anything else for this witness?
No other questions?
All right, is the applicant here, anybody on behalf of the property owner applicant? All right, come on up, sir. All right, sir, what is your name?
Tim Shumagala.
All right, and sir, in a few minutes, I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell me anything you want to do to support your application. As you heard, the city is recommending approval of your application, subject to the one condition that the issue with the driveway get worked out. However, you as the applicant and have the opportunity to ask Ms. Forbes any questions based upon her testimony. So this is your opportunity to cross-examine her. You don't have to if you don't want to, but it's your opportunity. Do you have any questions for her?
Just thank you very much for going back through and combing through it and putting everybody's eyeballs on it as many times as it took to get to this spot. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart.
Okay, don't go too far. You'll probably be coming back up in just a moment. Mr. Trask, is there any other witness that you need to call?
No, the city has no other witnesses on this application.
All right. Sir, then this is your opportunity. If there's anything you'd like to add, obviously I've listened to everything the city has said and I've read everything that's been submitted. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Tell me any other witnesses you'd like to call, any other exhibits you'd like to provide.
No, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, at this point in time, we'll open it up to public comment. Is there anyone who would like to provide public comment in regard to variance 2023-07? Okay, seeing that there is no public comment, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Mr. Trask, is there anything else?
No, thank you.
All right.
I would make note of the condition that the city is asking for if you choose to grant the variance, and that one condition is listed in Roman numeral item number 3 under staff recommendation and condition.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying, Mr. Trask. So for purposes of the order, you just want to make sure that I include
Reference to the driveway needing to come into compliance with the land development regulations as a condition of the granting of the variance.
Gotcha. So essentially, my order would just incorporate the second paragraph of item number 3?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll go ahead and grant the variance based upon the staff report, based upon the multiple favorable comments from different neighbors. It'll be granted with the one condition that was just referenced. And so that will be it for this one. All right, let's move on to VAR 2023-08 for the property located at 13436 Boca Ciega Avenue. Is the city ready to proceed?
We are.
Go ahead, Mr. Trask.
I'm going to call Joe Petraglia. Joe, if you would introduce yourself and tell the special magistrate how long you've been working for the city and what your job responsibilities are here.
Yes, I'm Joe Petraglia. I've been working with the city since June. My role is Planner 1 and Planning Technician. So I review a lot of permit applications and help with the community development department in any way that I can.
Are you familiar with this particular property at 13436 Bogaciega Avenue?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And did you prepare the staff report and recommendation that is in the agenda package?
Yes, I did.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and produce that?
All right. The application is VAR 2023-08. The applicant is James Thompson, property owner Acquisition Group LLC, property address 13436 Boca Ciega Avenue, Madeira Beach, Florida 33708, parcel ID 15-31-15-65304-003-0090. Legal description, pages replat of Michaeli's Beach, BLKC Lot 9, zoning/future land use, R2, low-density multifamily residential medium. Request reduce front setback from 20 feet to 12 feet to be the same as house being removed. Specific code provision is section 110-206, setback requirements. 1, front yard 20 feet. 1, background. The current structure was built in 1941 before the creation of the Madeira Beach Land Development Regulations, which contains setback requirements. Therefore, the house is legally non-conforming. The current structure has a 12-foot front setback, which is similar to that of many of the neighboring houses on the south side of Boca Ciega Avenue. Additionally, the current structure is to be torn down. The current structure to be torn down also encroaches into the required 7-foot side setback by 2 feet, being only 5 feet away from the side property line. The proposed new constructed home will conform to the required side setback of 7 feet on each side and a total of 15 feet. 2, variance criteria, section 2-507B and analysis. 1, special conditions and circumstances exist which are particular to the land, building, or other structure for which the variance is sought and which do not apply generally to the lands, buildings, or other structures in the same district. Special conditions to be considered shall include but are not limited to the following circumstances. And we found that it met 3 of these. The first being A, substantial or irregular shaped lot. The lot has an irregular triangular shape with 2 side property lines connecting without a rear property line. C, residential neighborhood character. Many other single-family houses on the same side of the street as 13436 Boca Ciega Avenue have a 12-foot front yard setback. And E, architectural and/or engineering considerations. The new construction will be built to meet current flood elevation requirements, making it more disaster resistant. Additionally, the proposed new construction will conform to the side yard setback, which the current structure does not meet. 2, the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. A self-created hardship shall not justify a variance. Findings. The hardship of the irregular shaped lot property was not created by the property owner. The property was plotted in 1935 and the home was built in 1941. The property and the home were built before the setback and lot minimum requirements were adopted in the Madeira Beach Code of Ordinances, making the lot and house legally non-conforming. 3, granting the variance will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied to other lands, buildings, or structures in the same zoning district. Findings. Approval of the variance will not grant any special privilege to the property. Most neighboring properties do not share the irregular triangular-shaped lot that 13436 Boca Ciega Ave property has. Similar properties in this zoning district along the same street are built within the front setback to the same extent being proposed in this application. 4, literal interpretation would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same zoning district under the terms of the Land Development Regulations, subpart B of this code, and would work unnecessarily and undue hardship on the applicant. Findings. Literal interpretation of the code would reduce the buildable footprint of the lot significantly since the front property line is the longest side of the property. These setbacks were intended to be used on rectangular lots where the front property line is shorter than the side property lines. 5, the variance granted is the minimum variance that will make possible the reasonable use of the land. Findings. Granting the variance allows for the construction of a reasonably sized single-family home. Reducing the front setback to 12 feet is reasonable because it would match the existing front setback of the current home and would have a similar front setback to homes on neighboring properties. 6, granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the city land development regulations, and that such variance will not be injurious to the area involved otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. Findings. The proposed new construction is harmonious with the general intent and purpose of the city land development regulations and will not negatively affect the character of the neighborhood. Allowing the uniformity of front setbacks will be an equitable outcome for the applicant, the public, and neighbors alike. 3, staff recommendation. Staff recommends approval of this variance, and I prepared this variance. Also with the variance, I have the staff report is pages 33 through 35, which I just read of the agenda packet. The application is pages 36 through 45. The existing site plan is on page 45. Or 46, rather. And then the proposed site plan is page 48. Affidavit of mailing and posting are on pages 49 and 50. Public notice is on page 51. Notice to be an affected party is, public notice is page 50. Notice to be an affected party is page 51. The mailing labels are on pages 52 through 54. And the pictures of posting are on pages 55 through 56.
All right, I'll go ahead and accept into evidence as exhibit number 1, pages 33 through 56 of the agenda packet.
Thank you. I have no questions for Joe.
All right, is the applicant here, or anyone on behalf of the applicant or property owner present? Come on forward, sir. What is your
Thank
name?
you. James Thompson.
All right. Mr. Thompson, at this point in time, the staff is recommending approval. However, you have the right to cross-examine Mr. Petraglia on anything that he testified to. Just as you saw in the prior hearing, I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell me anything you want to tell me. But do you have any questions for Mr. Petraglia at this time?
Thank you guys for your help. I appreciate all the effort.
Okay, just sit tight. Mr. Trask, any other witnesses on this one?
No other witnesses. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Thompson, you don't have to, but if there's anything you'd like to share with me, you're welcome to do that. Any witnesses you want to call, exhibits you want me to review, I'm happy to review them.
No, sir, we're all set. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, at this point in time, we'll open it up for public comment. If anyone in the public would like to comment on variance 2023-08 for the property located at 13436 Boca Ciega Avenue, please come forward now. Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Mr. Trask, anything else?
No, thank you. Staff recommends approval.
Okay. Based upon the testimony of staff, the lack of any objections and no public comment, go ahead and grant the variance without any conditions. All right, we'll move on to the last matter set for public hearing today, which is special exception 2023-02. The applicant is Alligator Attraction LLC. Is the city ready to proceed?
Yes, and again, I would call Joe Petraglia. Joe, if you could just go through again, introduce yourself, and advise as to what your job responsibility is here at the city.
Sure. I'm Joseph Petraglia. I started with the city in June of this past year, 2023. My role is Planner 1 and Planning Tech. I review permit applications and help with the Community Development Department.
Are you familiar with this property located at 14805 Gulf Boulevard here in Madeira Beach?
Yes, I am.
And are you familiar with the application for a special exception that has been filed by the property owner, Madeira Beach Land Company LLC?
Yes.
Okay. Did you prepare a staff report and recommendation on this particular application?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and if you would go ahead and present that then, please.
The application number is SE 2023-02. The applicant is Sonny Flynn Alligator Attraction LLC, DBA Alligator and Wildlife Discovery Center. Property owners, Madeira Mad Beach Land Co. LLC. Property address, 14805 Gulf Boulevard, Madeira Beach, Florida, 33708. Parcel ID 09-31-54198-002-0160. Legal description, Madeira Beach, Vista, Tract 2, lots 16 through 21, less RD, together with lots 140 through 145, North Madeira Shores, per ORs 3759/39 and 1506/382. Zoning and future land use is C3, retail commercial, commercial general. Applicant's request, temporarily utilize the property located at 14805 Gulf Boulevard, Madeira Beach, FL 33708 as a provisional habitat and operational base for the Alligator and Wildlife Discovery Center. This request comes in the wake of a destructive fire on July 13th, which significantly damaged our primary facility, leaving us in an urgent need for an alternative location to continue our care for over 100 animals and to carry on with our crucial fundraising efforts for their ongoing welfare and to the restoration of our center. Specific code provisions would be Division 7, C3, Retail Commercial, Section 110-319, Special Exception Uses, 10, Exhibition of Reptiles by Permit. 1. Background. The applicant is applying for a special exception use to operate their reptile exhibition facility in what was formerly a Bank of America. The property is in the C3 Retail Commercial Zoning District and has a future land use design designation of Commercial General. A reptile exhibition as a primary use of the property is an allowed special exception use in the C3 Zoning District. 2. Special exception use. That the use is permitted special use. Findings in Madeira Beach Code of Ordinances, Division 7, C3 Retail Commercial, Section 110-319. Special exception uses 10 allows for a reptile exhibition to be a permitted use with the approval of a special exception use by the special magistrate. 2, that the use is so designated, located, and proposed to be operated that the public health, safety, welfare, and convenience will be protected. Findings, public health, safety, welfare, and convenience would be protected if this use were to be approved at this location. The proposed exhibition facility will be designed for animal and human interactions and education. The proposed exhibition facility will be located in an existing commercial structure and has a dedicated surface parking lot. The property is located along Gulf Boulevard, which is a major commercial corridor and is adjacent to other commercial uses. 3, that the use will not cause substantial injury to the value of other property in the neighborhood where it is to be located. Findings. The address was previously used for a commercial use, and neighboring properties have commercial uses. Therefore, the value of other properties in this neighborhood should not be substantially injured. The property is located between 2 other commercial facilities, and the structure itself is set back from neighboring properties. 4, that the use will be compatible with adjoining development and the proposed character of the district where it is to be located. Findings, the properties on either side of the retail commercial use are, the properties on either side are retail commercial uses, The exhibition center is compatible with the adjoining development and fits the character of the C3 zoning district, which allows for a variety of commercial uses. 5, that adequate landscaping and screening is provided as required in the land development regulations or otherwise required. Findings, the landscaping of 14805 Gulf Boulevard will not change. The property will be changing from one commercial use to another commercial use without any planned work on the exterior of the property. Additionally, this proposed exhibition facility will only be a temporary use at this location. When their previous location is repaired, they will return to operate at the previous location. 6, that adequate off-street parking and loading is provided and ingress and egress is so designed as to cause minimum interference with traffic on abutting streets. Findings, off-street parking at this address far exceeds that of what is required under Section 110-971 of Madeira Beach City Code. City Code requires 1 space per 300 square feet gross feet GFA for retail service and services. The Pinellas County Property Appraiser shows that this address to have total heated area of 4,580 square feet, which requires 16 parking spaces. Google Earth images of this property from 2023 show more than double this number of parking spaces. 7, that the use conforms with all applicable regulations governing the districts where located except as may otherwise be allowable for planned unit developments. Findings, the proposed special exception use conforms with all applicable regulations governing the C3 zoning district. 8, if a variance is also desired and or required, a separate application shall be submitted concurrently with the special exception use application. Findings, no variances are needed or requested. 9, special exception use will not grant the lands more privilege than the best use available in a zone where that special exception use would be a principal permitted use. Findings, any property within the C3 retail commercial zoning district can apply for a special exception use to allow for a reptile exhibition as principal permitted use of the property. Granting a special exception use would not grant the lands more privilege than the best use available in a zone where the proposed special exception use would be a principal permitted use. 10, no application for a special exception use shall be considered by the special magistrate until the applicant has paid in full any outstanding charges, fees, interest, fines, or penalties owed to the city by the applicant or the owner or processor of the property under any section of the code. Findings, the fees have been waived due to current circumstances after the building fire at the original facility located in Johns Pet Village. 3, staff recommendations. Staff recommends approval of this variance. And then with attached, we have the application. Staff report was pages 57 through 60, which I just read. The application is pages 61 through 70. Affidavit of posting and mailing are pages 71 and 72. The public notice is pages 73 through 74. Mailing labels are pages 75 through 84. And then posting pictures are pages 85 through 86.
I just have one question for you. When you went through the staff recommendation, you had stated that the staff recommends approval of the variance, but this is not a variance. Staff is recommending approval of the special exception 2023-02. Is that correct?
Correct. My apologies.
Okay. We'd move into evidence the agenda package information that has been proved up by Mr. Petraglia.
All right, I'll go ahead and accept into evidence as exhibit number 1, the entire agenda packet, pages 57 through 86. Mr. Petraglia, I just want to address something, because in the one letter that was submitted, there's a statement that these particular owners believe it will be detrimental to our area from the aspect of parking, traffic, safety, possibly odors, poor placement of a tourist attraction, a more residential area, which could actually lower our property values. Mr. Petraglia, can you provide your opinion as to whether or not you believe this special use would be detrimental to the area from the aspect of a parking, traffic, safety, possibly odors, poor placement of a tourist attraction in a more residential area?
Yes, we don't believe it would significantly lower any property values in the neighborhood. That being because the parking requirements are, as stated in the staff report, far exceed what's required of that land use. And also, to my knowledge, city staff hasn't received any complaints of any odors from their last location.
And I understand from your staff report that the on-site parking that's available exceeds the requirements that the city has in place, correct?
Correct.
And is there anything about this specific use that's proposed here, this special exception use, that would increase traffic or jeopardize the public safety in any way?
Not to my knowledge, no.
All right. Mr. Trask, I'm going to give you an opportunity to follow up on my cross before I bring up the applicant. All right.
No additional questions.
All right, anybody here on behalf of the applicant? Can you give us your name, please?
My name is Sunny Flynn,
How do you spell that?
SONNYFLYNN.
Okay. As you've seen in the hearings before you, this is your opportunity to cross-examine Mr. Petraglia based on any testimony he's given, either in response to the questions by Mr. Trask or myself. I'm going to give you the opportunity to tell me anything you want to tell me in a few minutes. But do you have any questions for Mr. Petraglia?
Not at this time, thank you.
All right. Mr. Trask, any other witnesses?
No other witness for the city.
Okay, this is the time in the hearing where I'll accept public comment. Are there any members of the public that would like to come and comment in regard to application SE 2023-02?
I don't think that Ms. Flynn got the opportunity to present her case before we went to the
I'm
public.
so sorry. Thank you, Mr. Trask. Ms. Flynn, what would you like to tell me about this application?
I have over 100 animals that need a place to stay. Not only that, but I also have my team that I need to keep employed. So this is a heartfelt request, so that's what I ask.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. All right, now, are there any members of the public that would like to come comment in regard to this special exception application? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. Ms. Truss, what's your position on whether I accept into evidence this email that was received, I guess, on Sunday?
I would ask that you receive it into evidence.
Okay.
As city's exhibit number 2.
All right, we'll go ahead and bring into evidence as exhibit number 2 an email from Jody Jenkins to planning, even though it looks like it's on behalf of Mike and Jody Dowager. So maybe that's just it, but it is a comment, and I read from it earlier today. We'll go ahead and accept that in as exhibit number 2.
Thank you.
Anything else from the city?
No, thank you.
All right, and is there anything special about this order, Mr. Trask, that needs to say, since it's, special exception, or just a normal special exception
Just
order,
a-
just granting the application?
Yeah, just the normal order. There are no conditions that the city is asking for.
Okay, I will go ahead and, based upon the city staff's testimony as well as the testimony of the applicant, the special exception that has been requested, and so I'll go ahead and get that order signed right away. All right, is there anything else that needs to come before me today?
I'm sorry, the special exception then has been granted then?
Yes.
Okay. all
I'm
right.
sorry, the special exception has been granted, the application approved, so yes, granted, and I'll get that order signed, so.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anything else before me today, Mr. Trask?
No, thank you.
All right, that will conclude today's hearing then, thank you very much.